I'd like to welcome all our viewers to another episode of Recovery Today, sponsored by the Recovery Resource Center. My name is Perry Gadurgis, and I'm the host of this Recovery Today show, where we talk about all facets about recovery from addiction and even co-occurring issues like mental health concerns, which are very frequent with people who suffer from substance abuse disorders. I'm also a media producer and writer, and have been for a good many years. And I'm a person also in long-term recovery. And what that means for me is I haven't had a drink or a drug in about 40 years. Just a few weeks short of that. So our guest today to talk, really dig deep into recovery, is Miles Weber. Hi, Miles.
Hello.
You are the president of the Government Association at Georgetown campus of Del Tech.
I sure am.
And that in itself is amazing to me, because I know your story. You were one of the guest speakers last year at the Recovery Resource Center's Lighten Up Breakfast. And I was very wowed, as I know the rest of the audience was, to hear parts of your story. And so I want to talk about that today.
Absolutely. Let's dig into it.
Okay, well, first of all, you're relatively young, so just how old are you? And
I just turned 29 this past Friday on the 3rd. I turned 29 years old.
Okay, and talking to you, you're native to the area, that you got into recovery at a relatively young age as well.
I did. I got clean and sober when I was 19 years old, and I've stayed ever since.
Okay.
It's been the best it's ever been.
Okay, and as somebody like yourself, I got sober when I was 20, and how there can be a lot of wreckage in your teenage years to finally hit a bottom, to need recovery at a young age. So what was that like for you as a teenager then, to lead to finally engaging in recovery?
Well, I hope you got a minute, because there's been quite a few instances that have caused me to get to this point in my life. I mean, it started at the age of 14 when I got my first charge. Okay. I blew up a mailbox, and I got a malicious destruction charge. And apparently it was of an older person, it was of an older age, and the lady said she almost had a heart attack, and like it was a big deal. Wow. And yeah, that was my first charge. But
and drinking or drugging had something to do with that?
Oh, absolutely. I wouldn't have done it if I wasn't high.
Okay. And what was the first age that you did get high?
Probably about 14.
Okay.
As soon as I did something, I was off to the races. That was it. I finally felt like I fit in. I finally felt like I found what I was looking for.
And that was from getting high?
Yeah, absolutely.
So you're reminding me to this definition of addiction is if it causes problems, then it is a problem. So it sounds to me you were having problems pretty quick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the problems never stopped there. That was just the first time. That there was 36 times after that, 35, maybe 34 after that.
Involvement with the criminal justice system?
Yes.
Because of the use of drinking and drugging?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you have any sense as that was going on that something was wrong? Or people were certainly telling you that, I'm sure.
You know,
like your family.
Yeah, you know, and I knew it was wrong, but I just couldn't stop from doing it. You know, the judges, the doctors, the lawyers, the probation officers, the parole officers, the correctional officers, everybody told me that it's wrong. You know, my family, my brothers, my sister, my friend, everybody's like, yo, what's wrong with you? And I just couldn't figure it out because I couldn't stop. You know, like I didn't have a choice, we'll say.
Okay, but were you somebody that, there's a saying that you could stop, but you couldn't stay stopped? Did you even make any attempts at trying to stop, but couldn't stay stopped?
I tried, I tried switching things. I tried doing, I thought if I did one thing, it wouldn't stay in my system as long so I could pass my urine test, you know. Okay. I tried switching it around. I could never just stop. I couldn't just stop one thing forever.
Have you ever heard that normal people don't have to do stuff like that?
Yeah, and I have.
So, did you also, what did that look like in school? So you're mentioning the criminal justice system, but what about school? How did that show up your addiction in school?
You know, school, we'll just say I didn't do well. I was always an average student. In 10th grade, I dropped out because I was way too cool for school. So in 10th grade, I dropped out, I had enough. Because I got a DUI when I was 16. I crashed my parents' car, and I woke up handcuffed to a hospital bed, drunk.
Wow.
So after that, the judge sent me to a rehab in Cumberland, Maryland. It's called the Jackson Unit for Adolescents.
Okay.
And I went there, and they said, hey, they said either you can take school classes here, or we can help you get your GED. I said, well, I would rather I'm done with school, you know. So I kept it moving. Got my GED.
Okay. Okay. Did that give you some sense of invulnerability, that you're this young, powerful person that I believe a lot of people go through that get caught up in the cycle of addiction?
It did. It made me feel empowered. You know, like I was 16, like I got this.
Almost what you would say bulletproof.
Absolutely. You know, I got this. You know, I got my GED. I'm gonna be all right. You know, it just wasn't. I didn't see the big picture. It wasn't like a big problem to me. Like I kept going through the phases. I just kept going through different institutions, this, that, the other, and doing what I had to do. And I was alive, so I thought I was okay.
Did your parents think you were okay?
Absolutely not. Poor mom. I caused her so many sleepless nights, and dad told me that they put so much out on lawyers, and just all the fees and all the fines. I mean, it's been quite the amend process.
Yeah, and you mentioned amend process. We were talking earlier about the Sussex Correctional Institute, and you had one of your stays, and I so recall a time when I was there for a meeting at the Key program, and how a lot of people believe that they're not hurting anyone. And I pointed out to some of the guys there, because of knowing my own experience, we minimally rob people's peace of mind. Particularly, we hurt the people that we love the most and who love us the most. And we create hostage situations by their emotions and their peace of mind.
Absolutely.
So I imagine your parents went through the same thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I used to justify. I used to think like it's okay. Like I'm on a state-funded vacation. I'm getting a break from life. But it wasn't a break. You're just as on edge. You gotta fight for your life in prison and jail too.
So even with the sort of shame maybe or embarrassment and guilt that comes along with those kind of things that you do and you end up with consequences, that still didn't stop you?
Not at all. I thought it was cool. I thought it was the cool thing to do, because in my group of friends, it's like, oh, well, I just did a couple weeks in this jail. It's no big deal. Something slight, And I thought it was okay. It was like the thing to do.
Well, and you say that, you're also reminding me, just this whole thing as adolescents and adolescent males, so I noticed you got some ink, and I used to have a lot of ink on my arms as well and other parts of my body, and how there's an image thing too that comes with the evolution of adolescence, and there's this invincibility, back to that point of just so macho, ego-driven kind of way of being, and you pour alcohol and drugs on it, and it's like nobody can stop you.
I could walk on water.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Miles, so let me get this then. So you started using at 14 and you stopped at 19. So in that 5-year gap, can you spend several minutes telling us a little more what that was like as you started, and then how it finally ended for you to be in abstinence now?
Absolutely. Well, to make a long story longer, it's been just a mix of so much. There's been so many emotions. There's been so much chaos, so much turmoil. There's been so much happening that it all started at the young age. And like I said, the law has been a big influence in my life. I got that charge there, and then I couldn't stay clean, so I violated probation again and again and again. Then I got pulled over, had a couple bags of whatever on me. I was always getting busted with an alcohol charge, drug charge, DUI. Never anything violent. I was not a violent person, but I would go through the ways and means to get what I had to get. I would do what I had to do to get what I had to get. And I remember, and at the end, through all the chaos, through all the turmoil, at the end, I remember hanging out with some of my homeless friends. I had homeless friends, and we were cool. So we're hanging out in this little abandoned shed somewhere, and I remember I'm sitting there, and like my homeless friend was like, man, like I was getting all crazy. I can't explain it. I was getting so crazy. My homeless friend was like, man, he told me he had to go home, and he left. So right away I knew I had a problem. Like, wait, hold up, like my homeless friend just went home. like, I got a problem. And I wasn't homeless. Mom and Dad didn't put me out on the streets. I wasn't homeless. You know, they still, they accepted me. But it got a time where they stopped answering the phone call at 3 o'clock in the morning when I got locked up again. And again, they stopped answering the call. They stopped bailing me out. They stopped, you know, and like, it was over. The fight was over for them. They were giving up. Until my last charge, I got a charge. I was held up at gunpoint. And actually, no, first I was in a car accident with my brother when I was 17. My brother was taking me to my probation officer in Georgetown, Delaware, and we were just cruising along. He was going to pass somebody on Route 9, and when he had an LS1 Camaro, it was fast, and he went to pass somebody, he hit the gas, and it just started raining, the tires spun, and we crashed. And my brother's been disabled since. He has a brain injury, and he's been disabled. He can't work, he can't drive, he can't, you know. And so I had all the guilt and all the shame that was my fault. So I used more and more and more. But come to find out through the process of recovery, I've learned it wasn't my fault. Like, I found out there's some kind of divine intervention somewhere that's kind of held everything together. That, like, it was supposed to happen that way, because that made me who I am today. Made him who he is today. Like, for that I'm grateful. So my last charge, I got pistol whipped. I was buying a quantity of something from somebody, and some kids, they pulled out a pistol on me, and they're like, yo, give me your money. That didn't sound like a good idea to me. Because I worked my behind off of that money. So I didn't give away. We started fighting. I jumped out their vehicle. And as I jumped out, I was rolling across the road. And it was in Bethel, Delaware. And a police officer was coming the opposite way in the middle of nowhere. And so I rolled across the road. The cop almost ran me over. But he threw the lights on. He went and he pulled them over. He pulled them over. And they went to jail for attempted robbery. I ran off into the field and I was hiding till they found me. And that was my last charge. I went to SCI. I spent a couple of lovely days in that gated community, and yeah, that was my last. And right there, my probation officer, she said, "Listen," she said, "you violated again." She said, "What's going to change? Like when?" She said, "If you don't change," what did she say? She said, "Change you must or die you will." I was like, "Oh wow," and like for some reason that sunk in. I was like, like I need to change. And they said, "Listen, if you go to this program somewhere out of Maryland or Delaware, you have to leave the state. We'll write you off probation."
Okay.
So what an eye-opening experience that was. So I said, all right. She said, we're on board with your family. Everybody's good with it. We're going to send you to Florida with your sister, and you're going to go to a program there. And that, with that being said, we're going to write you off. That's it. I didn't have a license. It was revoked. I didn't have much. I had a part-time job. That was it. I didn't have any necessities. I didn't have a car, I didn't have a house, I didn't have a girlfriend. Nobody wanted me. So it was the end of the road. So I got shipped off to Florida, and that's where my recovery began. Okay. Because I went to this program in Florida, and my sister, she said the greatest thing. She said, "Oh, she told me I'm going to go to school there." So I thought school was going to be like my program of recovery, like, I'm going to go to school. So I went there, and come to find out the school she was talking about was a detox to learn about me. So I go to this detox and I learn about myself, and thank God. For that I'm grateful, because I finally learned that listen, I'm not a bad person. I don't have a moral deficiency, but I have a problem. I have a disease of I have a disease of addiction, of alcoholism. I have a disease that I need to there's no cure for it, but it can be maintained on a daily basis. So with that being said, now I attend recovery meetings and 12-step fellowship, and my life is beyond my wildest dreams. It's better than it's ever been. Now, don't get it twisted. There's still been ups and downs through that, because I was in school in Florida, and I got the car, I got a motorcycle, and so I got a motorcycle. I'm riding around, I'm being all cool. So in 2012, April 2012, I got in a motorcycle accident, right? So I had 3 years clean and sober. I had 3 years. I wasn't new. I wasn't. In the beginning, it was hard to stay clean at first, but then I kept wanting to find something. I still felt empty. I still felt like I needed to fill a void somehow. I needed to fill the hole inside me. And I found all these different things. It was shoes, it was money, it was women, it was this, it was that. And I found the motorcycle. And that motorcycle somehow made me feel whole again. So I was riding April 12th. I left the 10 p.m. meeting in Plantation, Florida at the West Broward Club. And I was on my way home on 595, big highway. And I was just doing what I do. I was just riding, And come to find out, I hit a car going 150 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I hit this car going 150. So I hit the car. I'd like to say that I flew off and landed on my feet and walked away. That's not what happened. I hit in the police report. Now I'm not making. The police report says I flew over 260 feet. Flew, Superman. So I flew 260 feet. I hit the ground, and right away, I don't remember anything. But from what everything said, my jaw was broken, my brain was bleeding, and I was in a coma for a month. Yeah, so with that being said, they did all the surgeries while I was in a coma, thank God. I woke up, my jaw was all bolted shut. I didn't know where I was, I didn't know what was going on. But like what I did know, that I have a drug problem, and I knew that I couldn't, do. I just couldn't do what I had the opportunity to do, because so many doctors, oh, we can give you this, we can give you that, we can get, what, but I just, I had my recovery network around me. A network, get a network. It's a net that works. It's people that can hold you, people that can, really keep me grounded. And with that being said, I couldn't walk. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to talk again. I had to learn how to be alive again. And I did 6 months of physical rehab there. And today I run cross country, 5 miles. What? Get some, 5 miles. Today in May I'm graduating as an electronics engineer. I'm a 10th grade dropout, but I'm about to graduate in May as an electronics engineer. That's who does that, So the message is, the story is that like there's hope, man, behind like you can go from park bench to Park Avenue. It's possible because like we do recover. I don't care where you're at. I don't care what you're going through. We do recover. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Okay. Well, drill down a little deeper though. So what do you think has been some of the one or two the hardest challenges as a young person in recovery, maybe compared to somebody who's later in life? Is there any sort of unique challenges as a young person, be it like in college or in social settings, that kind of thing?
Well, my youngest, I got clean when I was 19, clean and sober when I was 19. I thought when I turned 21 I had to have a drink, right? That was a lie, obviously, because come to find out, when I turned 21 I had so much going for me, to like it. Not that it wasn't a choice, but it wasn't. I wasn't appealed to it. It wasn't like something I was looking forward to. I would rather go to my job. I'd rather pay my bills. I'd rather keep my car. I'd rather do things around my household than go out and take a drink. As far as challenges, I think getting clean and sober at a young age, we got benefits. I wouldn't say challenge. I'd say it's beneficial. Because you can go from no education to getting an education. You can I think it's a lot easier. I could be wrong, but I think it's a lot easier for me as a young man to get education, to be physical and be physically in shape, and to just live life compared to an older being. I'm not saying that old people can't go to school, because you can, but I think it's easier for me because it's more. I fit the setting.
Yes, and there's actually some studies to this that there's a higher rate of success of abstinence, of long-term abstinence and long-term recovery for those who get sober and recovery at a younger age.
Right.
Yeah, there's actually statistics that point that out. So you're echoing that, and very much so. So what would you tell somebody that's watching this show, and maybe they themselves are young and maybe they've had experiences with recovery, maybe they're in some relapse issues or family member? What would you say to them from your point of view in your life journey as it's been in recovery?
Well, my experience, what I would say is, it's not getting any better out there, so why keep going back? Because obviously I'm going through the same pain, the same isolation, the degradation, the demoralization. I'm going through the same feelings, it's just not getting better. So why would I go back? And with that being said, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If I don't change, then my clean date will. So with that being said, change, now I get what the probation officer meant when she said, change I must or die I will. Because, everybody likes to say there's an epidemic going on, and come to find out that my more experienced members of recovery, they tell me this epidemic's been going on for the past 50 years. Since the 50s and 60s, it's a part of life. And it's very unfortunate, it is, because like, I've lost a lot of friends, I've lost a lot of good people, but like, what do I have to lose by just trying this recovery thing? Like, I don't have anything it's not going to hurt me. Like, trying to recover is not going to hurt me, so why not try?
Okay. Well then, as we wrap up here, one last question to you, and that is, so what is your family like now for you compared to the way it was? What would, in a minute's time, could you share about what family is like for you today?
Oh, absolutely. Me and my immediate family, my mother, my father, my brother, my sisters, we're all, I'm the favorite uncle of my sister's children. I'm the, Uncle Miles is the fun one, so I'm that. You know, my mom, my dad, I can cook dinner for. You know, I grow herb. I help my mom garden. I like gardening today. I grow a herb garden. You know, fresh herb. So when I cook my paleo stir fry. I go out cook some. I pick some fresh herbs, some basil, some cilantro, some parsley, chop it up, and like that's what I do. And like, and it feels good. It's part of the amend part. Like, it feels good that I can actually be a part of. You know, I had a friend in Florida who was celebrating 3 years clean, 2 years clean, and I flew to Florida to see them celebrate. And when I flew out of BWI because my grandmother was 93 years old, and she was in hospice, and she was dying. She was 93 years old. But I was able to go there before I flew out, and was able to say a prayer with her and just be a part of, and just actually and mentally be there and physically be there for my family and for support, and just for what we need in life, you know. And it's been the best it's ever been. I mean, we're very connected today, and for that I'm grateful.
Wow, and I'm really grateful that you've been able to be on the show today and share with our listeners, viewers, your story and your recovery process.
Saying thank you.
So thanks for being with us again.
Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity, and I really just hope somebody gets something out of it.
I want to thank you for listening to another episode of Recovery Today, sponsored by the Recovery Resource Center. Please visit and like their Facebook page, and also there is a link to find out more about what services and support for those in recovery at the Recovery Resource Center. And once again, recovery is a process, it's not an event, and that's what we aim to share here at Recovery Today. Thank you.